This is the Eric Erb Show live. You can find me online at theericerbshow.com and, of course, twitter.com/The Eric Erb Show. And always on Spreaker. That's Spreaker.com/The Eric Erb Show live. And, of course, on Anchor. That's Anchor.fm/The Eric Erb Show live. And, of course, on SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/The Eric Erb Show live. Okay, let's get into the news. I got something here real quick, an interesting article from naturalnews.com. Here's an interesting article that goes and talks about the coronavirus. It says intelligence officials were secretly warning of the coronavirus as far back as November. This is of last year, November. As the world continues to reel from the effects of the coronavirus, it's worth noting China, where the outbreak started, has been dogged by controversy, especially for its initial response when the reports of a mysterious viral pneumonia first appeared in Wuhan, China, in December. The Chinese government played down the severity of the outbreak and quashed any dissension before finally acknowledging it in mid-January. However, U.S. intelligence officials were already warning of an outbreak sweeping through the epicenter as far back as November last year. That's 2019, according to officials familiar with the document's contents, concerns about what is now known to be the coronavirus pandemic, initially detailed in November of 2019. And intelligence report by the National Center for Military Intelligence, the NCMI. The report was the result of an analysis of wire and computer intercepts combined with satellite images. Analysts concluded that this should be a cataclysmic event, stated one of the sources on the NCMI's report. The source also confirmed that the report was briefed multiple times to the Defense Intelligence Agency, or the DIA, to the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the White House. The Pentagon, however, issued a statement Wednesday denying that any product or assessment existed. Well, now, there, folks, there you go. Typical of how one side will blame the other. Lower chain of command will blame, will submit something. Upper chain of command will say it did not exist. As I read that, this was submitted to the Defense Intelligence Agency, or DIA, and the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the White House, the Pentagon. Let me read that. However, issued a statement denying that the product/assessment didn't exist. Widely available, it took time for the upper echelons, according to the sources for the NCMI report, was made widely available to the people authorized to assess intelligence community alerts. Following the release of the intelligence community bulletins, also began circulating through the confidential channels across or around Thanksgiving. This was last year. The bulletin stated that China's leadership knew that the epidemic was out of control. Even crucial information was kept from public health agencies and foreign governments. Well, it's typical. If you expect any transparency or honesty from the Chinese regarding the COVID-19 or the coronavirus, look someplace else. You're fooling yourself. You're in denial. You're full of shit. I'm just going to say that. You're an idiot and you're full of shit. You'll never get that from this Chinese dictatorial government, this Chinese regime regarding the coronavirus. As I've been saying all along for the last 90 days on this podcast, they knew last year, late last year, the Chinese did, and it took one of our agencies discovering that they had a virus out of control with pneumonia-like symptoms, and it was causing all kinds of havoc, and it was causing all kinds of medical destruction, deaths, and everything else. But of course, the Chinese covered that up like they always do, like typical Chinese would do. And why they do that to save face is why they do that. That is typical of the Chinese government. They always want to save face. And unfortunately, that's how the Chinese government is ran. They always want to save face. The Chinese only care about the Chinese. They care about, at least the government anyway, making money, toppling regimes that are a threat to them, i.e. the United States. The number one threat in the world to China is the United States. And the democracy here, that's all they seem to care about. I'll go up and finish the article here. The Pentagon, I'm just skipping through the highlights here. The Pentagon denies the report's existence. When asked about the report on ABC's last Sunday, Secretary of Defense Mike Esper told George Stephanopoulos that he was not aware of such report. However, Esper confirmed that they later have people who monitor the pandemic closely. So our people who work with these issues directly watch them all the time, he explained. That's basically what Esper had to say. And then it goes on, and I conclude the article here. Intelligence work continues. The veracity of the report outstanding. The U.S. intelligence community is continuing to work on the virus. In particular, intelligence officials are trying to determine how many cases, deaths occurred in countries like China, where the U.S. Officials state that the official figures cannot be trusted. And we all know that. The cover-ups and suppressions that China does, they're basically, I'm just going to say, anything China says, at least the government, not the people. Let me rephrase that now. The people of China are good people. The government is a rotten, no good SOB. The government is no good there in China. The dictatorial communist government is no good whatsoever. The people are very good people there in China. Let me, for the record, state that, because a lot of people have said on prior podcasts, oh, you're always beating up on the Chinese. No, I'm beating up on the Chinese communist government ran by Xi Jinping. That's who I'm beating up on. I'm not beating up on the Chinese people. Let me clarify that. The communist government, which is ran by the president of China, Xi Jinping, they're the ones specifically I'm talking about. They're a no-good liar, an SOB, and they're worthless. And that's all I got to say. The world should make China be accountable, the Chinese government be accountable for the acts of travesty and death and pain and suffering that we all have occurred all the way around the world for introducing this virus. And again, as I've done on other podcasts, it's not the bats that did this. It's the people employed by the communist government in the testing labs that are forced to make a vaccine, forced to make a virus. Let me restate that, a virus. And that they're experimenting from a military standpoint so that they could eventually one day drop the virus on a society. 30 days later, if everybody's sick and everybody's fallen over dead, they can just come in without even firing a shot and take over a country, take over a city, take over a country, so on and so forth. So you have to understand what the Chinese mindset is. They don't want to get into a confrontation, a war with America, but they would love to have something. They just pop and spread a disease, spread a virus, spread a pandemic, and then all of a sudden the country's half the people in the country are sick and the others are half dying. Then they don't have to lift or shoot one shot in order to take over an entire country, in order to put us down, in order to take America out. A lot of people are like, oh, that's conspiracy. Eric, you got to shut up with that bullshit. It's not conspiracy. Just let the facts go as they may. You can do searches online. You can find out all this information. You just have to dig. I go to a place and pull a lot of my news. And again, here are about 50 to 100 different news resources at censored.news. That's censored.news is where I pull. It has about 40 or 50 or 60 decent alternative news sources around the world where I can pull decent news and information that's not cluttered, it's not fake news, it's not doctored by the mainstream. It just tells you the straight news, and that's what we want. We just want to be told the truth. That's all people do around the world. I think this is in unison. People just want to be told the truth. They don't want your political opinions clouding the judgment. They don't care about that. People in general just want to know the damn truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth. That's what people want to know. People want to know it here in this country and around the world. The media has gotten so bad and out of control that the media always has to have their political spin and their agenda on everything. And they'll write an article, it's true, just because somebody wakes up in the morning and is not feeling good, and so they'll make shit up as they go. That's how the media and the media spin plays in this country with fake news. A lot of people don't know that. The media goes and if somebody says it, it must be true. So the media starts running it. One network, ABC, will pick up a story, start running with it, and then CBS will pick up the same story and run with that, and then NBC will run with the same story. All of a sudden, it's in the big three major media networks, and people believe that it's true. It is not true. You have to do your own little investigative work. I know most Americans are kind of lazy sometimes and won't go through that and won't dig and dig and dig, such as I do, to find good stories. But again, that's what you have to do, because the truth lies somewhere in between the 2 points of a lie. There is truth out there. You just have to dig for it. You have to find alternative news sources. And again, I pull a lot of my stories. There's multiple different venues and news sources here on this censored.news. It's censored.news. So let me know what you think of this podcast. Let me know what you think. Give me a thumbs up. Like, subscribe, share. And you can always find me online at theericherbshow.com, and, of course, twitter.com/The Eric Erb Show, Spreaker.com/The Eric Erb Show Live, Anchor.fm, that's Anchor.fm, and I am on SoundCloud, SoundCloud.com/The Eric Erb Show Live. This is Eric Erb from The Eric Erb Show, signing off. God bless and take care. See you next time.